Hello everyone, welcome to a new series of math discussions. This is math plus computer science combo. That means we'll solve very interesting problems using both math and computer science. How can we simplify algorithms using math? That's the first step. How we simplify algorithms using math and also use programming in any programming language to get the desired uh, result. So in this series of math discussions, we would be doing this. We would actually simplify a problem using math ideas, using algorithms, framing our own algorithms, and then converting it to a program and then getting the desired result. So this video focuses more on the math part, I would say, uh, by taking up examples, like one example which I'll be showing in this video, and the code also I'll be showing it to you. The code is something I have done in Python. It can be done in C, C++, or Java, whichever you are comfortable with. And I am much more comfortable with Python, so I've done it in Python. So now let's begin with a really very interesting problem, which is here. I'll be pasting it here. So here it is that it says that the increasing sequence 1, 3, 4, 9, 10, 12, 13 consists of all those positive integers which are powers of 3 or sums of distinct powers of 3. Find the 100th term of this sequence. So for those of you who are interested, this is from the book 102 Combinatorial Problems by the USA IMO team. So let's get started. My goal here is to not provide just a solution, but also various ideas, the ways of thinking about it. So that's the most important thing. So first, what would you try is the question. So let us say you have certain numbers like 3 power 0, 3 power 1, 3 power 2. Let us restrict ourselves to this much as of now. So how many numbers? I ask myself a question. Sometimes we solve problems like that. Ask yourselves questions. So the question I'm asking to myself is that how many numbers can I make using these three numbers such that they are powers of 3 or they're sums of powers of 3. So one example is I just take a power of 3, maybe 3 power 1. Or maybe in another example, I take 2 powers of 3 and sum them up, like 3 power 1 plus 3 power 2, something like this. Or maybe if I wish to choose all three of them, I can do that as well. So that's 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 2. Right. So how can I find the number of total such uh, numbers which are powers of 3 or sums of powers of 3 which are among these three numbers, which is what I desire. So how would I do that? Let us say I want to choose a single number. So I can do that in three choose one ways. Say I want to choose two numbers. I can do that in three choose two ways. Say I want to choose all three numbers, then I can do it in three choose three ways. And here comes the application of the binomial theorem. We can write it as 2 cubed minus 1. So that's nothing but 7. So we get that there are 7 such terms which use 1 of 3 power 0, 3 power 1, and 3 power 2. But here, notice that there is a very important condition, increasing sequence. Increasing sequence. We can't just take it randomly. We can't take a random order of numbers. It should be increasing. So our goal is to actually construct such an increasing sequence. There are various ways of constructing the sequence, but which would be that particular algorithm which gives the increasing sequence is the question. So what you could think of first. So we wish to find the 100th term. So maybe the thing is, if I have these 3 power 0, 3 power 1, 3 power 2, all the way up till say 3 power 5, then there are 6 such numbers. So this is going to be like 6 choose 1, I choose one number, maybe 2 numbers, and all the way up till 6 choose 6. And again, by the binomial theorem, we get that it's 2 power 6 minus 1, that is 63. So as of now, we have got the 63 terms. And if I increase it to 7, if I add another 3 power 6, the total number of terms becomes 2 power 7 minus 1. That's going to be 127, and it has already exceeded 100, right? It has exceeded 100. So what do we actually want to do? We need to find the 100th term. So now, maybe the first thing you can think of is something like this. That let us say I have these numbers only. If I have a number which has a 3 power 7, then that would exceed the 100th term of the sequence. So we would restrict ourselves to 3 power 6. So let us say I just choose one number out of them, like this: 3 power 0, 3 power 1, 3 power 2, all the way up to 3 power 6. Then say I choose two numbers, like this: 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1, 3 power 1 plus 3 power 2, or 3 power 0 plus 3 power 2, and all the way up till it would end at 3 power 5 plus 3 power 6. Various possibilities. To be precise, there are 7 choose 2 ways of doing it. Here there are 7 choose 1 ways of doing it. But do you think that this idea is suitable for the problem? Is it actually creating an increasing sequence? Obviously, you would expect that the probability that you take one number and just that number, you keep it aside, or you take two numbers and you take their sum and keep them aside. Intuitively, there is a higher probability that the sum is actually higher than that number most of the times, but not necessarily. Mathematically, it's not necessary at all, but most of the times you may expect it to be. So we may try to do it in such a way. How? Try using programming. So I would be showing you my Python code of what I try to do with explanation. So here it is. So first, what I'm doing is I'm initializing this particular list. It's an empty list. It's an initialization. Now, what is this for loop doing? I've created a for loop for each I in 0, 1, 2. For each I, it adds the numbers 3 power 0, 3 power 1, and 3 power 2, which are respectively 1, 3, and 9. Now, then I'm taking two numbers at a time in the next one. You see, there are two for loops for I in range 3, for j in range 3. And what is this j not equal to I? What is this? What is the meaning of j not equal to I? Simply means that if you look at the question, what is the question saying? Powers of 3 or sums of distinct powers of 3. That's a very important condition. Since they mention it as distinct, I am putting this condition that j not equal to I. Because if j were equal to I, don't you think that 3 power j would be equal to 3 power I, and then We are not adding distinct powers of 3, but the same powers of 3. So this condition is absolutely necessary. So then we are adding 3 power I plus 3 power j. So then we have this condition that if S not in L. Why is this condition necessary again? That's because I don't want it to repeat 2 times. I don't want a particular sum to repeat 2 times. So if you look at this for loop, maybe it's calculating 3 power 0 plus 3 square once, and in the other time it's calculating 3 square plus 3 power 0. And both of them are the same thing, 10. So you should not count it twice. That's what is a sequence. Not count it twice. So now here, again the same thing. We have the condition j not equal to I. There are 3 for loops here, 3 for loops. And if k not equal to I and k not equal to j, again the same condition that we should have distinct powers of 3. So again we are taking the sum 3 power I plus 3 power j plus 3 power k. And again the condition that S not in L, because we know we don't want it to repeat, and then we are appending an element, appending the sum to the list. So here, next we are printing L, the list. So what do you think the output would be? Maybe if you know Python, you can work it out yourself. That's a really good exercise. But here I would run it and show to you. But before even I run it, do you think there's a problem in the code itself? Logically, no. There's no logical error. There's no logical error. But there's something known as algorithmic efficiency. Is this algorithmically efficient? If you see this, there are so many conditions, there are so many nested for loops. Nested for loops are known to consume a lot of time to get evaluated. Why? Why is it so? You may analyze mathematically that say that this has m terms in the range, this has n terms in the range, this has l terms in the range. Then, using the multiplication principle in combinatorics, we can say that there are a total of m and l times you need to execute the innermost block, m and l times, the product of m, n, and l. And so that's a really huge quantity, isn't it? So again, here comes the point that it is not very algorithmically efficient. But first, we can see whether it's giving a proper result or not. So let's do that. I'm running it, and here it comes. 1, 3, 9, 4, 10, 12, 13. Let's get back to the problem. 1, 3, 4, 9, 10, 12, 13. What's the difference? No difference? There is a difference. What is it? You can look here that this is the difference. 1, 3, 9, 4, 10, 12, 13. 9, 4. It's not in increasing fashion, and that's the problem. It's not in increasing fashion. This has happened only once here, but you would notice that if you go further, there would be more such exceptions. And moreover, if you see the code here, you would notice that, let us say you want to go up till 7 or 8, then how many times you need to put the condition j not equal to I, k not equal to I, and k not equal to j, then you take a new variable m. That has to be not equal to I, j, and k. How many times can you write the same thing? So that's the reason. There are many reasons why this code doesn't work. And obviously there are reasons why I need to show this, because we need to see why such programs are less efficient algorithmically. So now comes the point that how can we actually simplify this using math and come up with a really better algorithm. So that, how can we do that? Yes, we can do that. For that, We need to solve the problem which was given. So here I get back, and so note down the first 7 terms given. That's 1, 3, then a 4, then what do we have is a 9, 10, 12, 13. 9, 10, 12, and 13. Now notice one thing. Notice one thing very clearly, that the motivation behind this, why I need to do this, is motivation. Motivations are very important for problem solving. So I'm discussing that here. What's the motivation behind doing this? That they have given in the question that each of the term is a power of 3 or sums of distinct powers of 3. That's what is given in the question. So you look at this and try to express these first 7 elements in terms of either a power of 3 or sums of distinct powers of 3. So that's what we wish to do. And why are we doing that? Maybe we notice a certain pattern in the way it's increasing. Maybe we do notice a pattern in the way it's increasing. How is it increasing? By just looking at the 7 terms. And okay, this may happen for other terms. We claim it. We claim it. And then what do? We prove it. So that's the procedure of actually doing a math problem. We notice patterns. We claim that a particular thing holds generally, and then write a proof for it. So here, let's write each of these elements in terms of powers of 3 or sums of powers of 3. So 1 is what? 3 power 0. 3 is 3 power 1. 4 is 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1. What is 9? 3 square. What is 10? 3 square plus 3 power 0. What is 12? 12 is 3 square plus 3 power 1. And then 13 is 3 square plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 0. And then you will notice that the next one would be 3 cubed. There's all the numbers from 14 up till 26. Those cannot be written as obviously not a power of 3, neither can it be written as sums of powers of 3. So that's the thing. Now, notice one thing, that you take 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1, it comes before 3 square, always. You look at 3 square plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 0, it comes before 3 cube, isn't it? Yeah, it does come before 3 cube. And similarly, you would also notice that 3 cube plus 3 square plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 0 comes before 3 power 4. Why? What is this? 27 plus 9 plus 3 plus 1. This is nothing but 40, and 3 power 0 is 81. So there we have. Now it comes to the point that is it true for all n? Yes, it seems obviously true, but how do we prove it rigorously? So what's our claim? The claim is that this number 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1 plus 3 square all the way up till 3 power a minus 1 is actually less than 3 power a. Yeah. So what exactly is this? This is something commonly known as a geometric progression. Those of you who have not heard of it before can definitely look into it. A really nice concept in sequences and series. So what is this geometric progression generally? So it's a geometric progression with the first term being 3 power 0, that is 1, And you see the next term, that's 3 power 1. The next term is 3 square. So it's getting multiplied by 3. So what's the common ratio? The common ratio is actually 3. So how do I find the sum of these? How many terms are there? There are actually 8 terms. There are actually 8 terms. So the sum of a GP, the sum of n terms of a GP, uh, it is given by the first term A times R power n minus 1 divided by R minus 1. This A is rather the first term, not this A. This is the number of terms. It's different. That's first term. So I can write it as the first term is 1, that is 3 power 0 times R power n. What is the common ratio? It's 3. And how many terms are there? From 0 up till A minus 1. So how can you calculate the number of terms between 0 and A minus 1? It's the last term, A minus 1 minus 0 plus 1. A minus 1 plus 1, that's A. So 3 power A minus 1 divided by R is 3. So 3 minus 1 would become 2. So it's 3 power A minus 1 by 2. So what can I say about 3 power A minus 1 divided by 2? I can split it as 3 power A by 2 minus 1 by 2. And don't you think that this is actually less than 3 power A by 2? Yeah, it's obvious. And this is less than 3 power A. Because which is larger, half of a number or the number itself? The number itself, right? So thus, we have proved our claim. This was our claim, and here is the proof. We have proved our claim. So that means that in the first 7 terms, which was the biggest term? 3 square plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 0. And 3 cube is greater than that by our claim, and we have proved it also. So that means that the 3 cube term doesn't appear. So similarly, what does this 7 indicate? I showed you that it's 2 cube minus 1 in the initial discussion. It was 3 choose 1 plus 3 choose 2 plus 3 choose 3, if you remember. So in the first 2 power 4 minus 1, that is 15 terms, the 15th term would be the largest one among them, which is 3 cube plus 3 square plus 3 power 1 plus 3 power 0. And 3 power 4 would appear after that by our claim. So 3 power 4 term doesn't appear here. And obviously, in both of these cases, where does the 3 cube would just be the 8th term, just after the 7 terms. You can verify. And here also 3 power 4 would just be the 16th term. So similarly, by induction, you can show that 3 power n in general would be actually 2 power n nth term. 2 power n, the 2 power nth term. So it's like that. So basically, 3 power 6 would be the 64th term, like that. So 3 power 6 is the 64th term. And that's a very good lead we got. So now comes the next term. We got the 64th term. What would be the 65th term? It's quite obvious. It's 3 power 6 plus 3 power 0. Why? Because the least thing you can add, the least power of 3 you can add to 3 power 6 would be just 3 power 0. That's all. Now, what's the 66th term? It's going to be 3 power 6 plus 3 power 1. The next least thing you can add is 3. What would be the 67th term? 3 power 6 plus 3 square. Is it so? No. Why no? Because 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1 is actually lesser than 3 square. So you notice the same thing, the order in which this is appearing, 3 power 0, 3 power 1. You just neglect the 3 power 6 and notice. Don't you think that this is just the first term, this is just the second term, this is just the third term of our original sequence, the 1, 3, 4. That's something really nice about this problem, noticeable. So you notice that if the 65th term gets mapped to 3 power 6 plus the first term, what would the 100th term? We want the 100th term. So that would be mapped to 3 power 6 plus actually the what's 100 minus 64? The 36th term. So it would suffice for us to find the 36th term. That's the major thing. So, how do we find the 36th term? Do we know something about the 32nd term? We just now saw that 3 power 5. What would 3 power 5 be? 2 power 5 at term. It's 2 power 5, 32nd term. 3 power 5 is the 32nd term. Something close. So, given a term, we need to look at that which is that power of 2 which is closer to it, and that's 32. So we have the 32nd term to be 3 power 5. And we do the same thing which we did here for the 65, 66, 67. So what's the 33rd term? What's the next least thing we can add to it? So that's 3 power 5 plus 3 power 0. And then what's 34th term? The next least thing we can add to it is 3 power 1. Then 35th is going to be 3 power 5 plus 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1. The 36th next least thing we can add is 3 square. So this is our 36th term. So what would be the 100th term? That would be 729. 3 power 6 is 729. Plus the 36th term is 3 power 5 plus 3 square. What's 3 power 5? That's 243. And what is 3 square? That's 9. And this actually comes out to be 981. This is the answer for this problem. This is the answer for this problem, 981. So now we got the solution, but there's something more to learn from this problem. Is there a way we can construct an algorithm? What's the goal? The goal is to actually construct an algorithm to find the nth term and nth term of the increasing sequence in the problem, previous problem. So this is our next goal. So how do we plan to actually do it? So let us go back to what we did in the previous problem. Here, from here, we saw that 100 was 3 power 6 plus the 36th term. The 100th term was nothing but 3 power 6 plus 3 power 6 plus the 36th term. So now I can find the 36th term in another way, something using recursion. So now, since I know that the 32nd term is actually 3 power 5, I can further modify it as 3 power 6 plus 3 power 5 plus the fourth term. the same thing which we used. Like you can verify that since the same thing which we did, the 32nd term is 3 power 5. So the next thing is what? The sequence repeats, right? 3 power 5 is gone. Then 33rd would be add a 3 power 0. 34th would be add a 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1. Then add a 3 square and so on. The same thing repeats, which was in the previous list. So we can like this construct an algorithm. So now how can we put it into a computer? How can we put it into a computer? Now I can see that, okay, 36, the number which is closest to it is 32. Fine, I subtract it and get the fourth term and write a 3 power 5. So how would a computer recognize it? There comes the idea of logarithms. How can we use logarithms here? The thing is that it's the 100th term. So we look at the number log 100 to the base 2. This is obviously going to be less than log base 2, 64, and this is less than log base 2, 128. Why? Because log x to base 2 is an increasing function. An increasing function from the graph. So what is log base 2? Log 64 to base 2, 6. That is less than log 100 to base 2, and that is less than 7. And now for 100, realize that we wrote a 3 power 6 term. Since we wrote a 3 power 6 term, we want this 6. How can we get this 6? It's the integral part of log 100 to base 2. So that would be floor of log 100 to base 2. The floor function is also known as the greatest integer function. Both are indeed the same thing. So once we get that, realize that from 100th term, we got that it is equal to 3 power 6 plus the 36th term is what we found out. And then from this, we get that it's 3 power 6 plus 3 power 5 plus the fourth term by again applying the same thing. Why? Because 36, what is log 36 to base 2? It is less than 5 because it's log 32 to base 2. So the floor would be 5 and we write a 3 power 5 and we subtract actually 2 power 5 from it. 36 minus 2 power 5 and we get the fourth term. Now applying this recurrence several times, how many ever times you want, you ultimately reach to a base case. Ultimately reach to a base case where it is one of this. The last would be either the first term, the second term, or the third term. So in the end, what you need to do is, if the end you're left with the first term, then you assign a condition that you add 3 power 0 to it. Say you get the second term, then you add 3 power 1 to it. Say you get the third term, you add a 3 square to it. And say nothing was left. Say nothing was left, 0th term, then add nothing to it. That's all, it's done. So the base cases are also important here while applying recurrence. So now here also, how do we proceed? Fourth term. So what is the floor of log 4 to base 2? It's just going to be floor of 2, that is going to be 2. So all you need to do is you subtract 2 squared from it. You just write, since it's 2 square, you just write a 3 square term here, a 3 square term, and what you're left with? 0. 4 minus 2 square, 0. What do you need to add? Nothing. So ultimately you get 3 power 6 plus 3 power 5 plus 3 square to be your answer. That is again 981, the same thing, right? So this is how we do it. So let us say that you want to find the the nth term of the sequence. Let us say you want to find nth term of the sequence. I'll be writing down just the algorithm and I'll be showing you the code. So the nth term of the sequence can be constructed like this. So assign this number k equal to floor of log n to base 2 to some number k. And then what you need to do is you write s to be 3 power k. So it's like we are defining a function here called, let us say we are calculating the term of the sequence, and I pass in n as the parameter, means I want the nth term, plus now from this n, I have to subtract 2 par k, and I need to find this n minus 2 par k. Which term is it? Like there, we got that it was the 36th term. How do we find the 36th term? So we want the term of that. So it's just again calling the function inside itself. Now this we want if n is greater than 3. Say n is less than 3, then we give another elif condition. In Python it's elif. So then say n is 0, then this should be 0. We don't want to add anything. Say n was 1, then you need to add just 1. If n was 2, then you need to add just 3 power 1, that is 3. Say if n was 3, then you need to add 3 power 0 plus 3 power 1. So s is 4. So now each time it gets assigned like this. 3 power k, like we saw for that, k was 6. Then we get that it's 3 power 6 plus term of 100 minus 2 power k. What was 2 power k? K is 6, 64. So 3 power 6 plus term of 36. 3 power 6 plus term of 36 for n equal to 100. That's the thing. Now it's calling again term of 36. How can I find term of 36? Again, you find floor of log 2 to base 36. That will give you 5. Then this will get assigned to 3 power 5 plus term of n minus 2 power k. That is 36 minus 2 power 5. So this is nothing but 4. So now this goes and gets attached to term of 36. That is 3 power 5 plus term of 4. And ultimately, you reach some number like either term of 0, 1, 2, or 3, or 1, or 2, or 3. And ultimately, you reach the final step, and that the conditions n equal to 1, 2, and 3. And there, once it gets assigned, the entire thing stops and you get the nth term. So this was the algorithm. I hope I could express myself in the best way I could here. Now it's time to show the program for this. So here is the program. So look at the simplicity of this program and compare it to the other one. That was lacking algorithmic efficiency, as well as it was not giving in an increasing fashion. Now, first what we are doing is we are importing the log and the floor functions from the math module in Python, because you saw that we used it there. And again, as I explained, if n is a number greater than 3, then k is equal to floor of log n comma 2, the same thing which I explained in the algorithm there. And then since it was a k, we raise it to 3 power k, and then we want the term of n minus 2 power k. For example, when n is 100, we calculated k was 6, because it's floor of log 100 to base 2, that is 6. Now it was s is equal to 3 power 6 plus the 36th term. What was the 36? Significance of the 36 was 100 minus 2 power 6, the 36th term. So again, it loops through. Term of 36. K is equal to floor of log 36 to base 2. That becomes 5. Then S is 3 power 5 plus term of 36 minus 2 power 5. Again, that becomes term of 4. So now we have 3 power 6 plus 3 power 5 plus term of 4. What is the term of 4? 4 again, what is floor of log 4 to base 2? It's floor of 2, that is 2. So we have another 3 square term and plus term of what? 4 minus 2 square. 4 minus 2 square is nothing but a 0. That's a 0. So again it comes, n greater than 3 condition is not valid anymore. So it comes to n equal to 0 condition. That means it's saying s equal to 0. Don't add anything further. We are done. So all we are left with now is 3 power 6 plus 3 power 5 plus 3 square. That would give us 981. Now let us check for few values whether it's correct, giving the correct answer. Let us say I want to calculate the fourth term of the sequence. I will say print, I'm calling the function term of 4. What should it actually give? 9 is the desired output. There you have the 9. And say you want the 7th term. What was the 7th term expected to be? 1, 3, 4, 9, 10, 12, 13, if you remember. So 13. Is it correct? Yes, 13 is correct. Now the 100th term. Was our explanation of the algorithm absolutely right, or was it wrong? Will we get the same answer as what we did mathematically using the principles of combinatorics? 981. There it is. So we got the same answer, 981, and Python also is saying that the 100th term is 981. So we not only found an algorithm to find the 100th term of the sequence, we found an algorithm to actually calculate the nth term of the sequence in general, and thus here is a code for doing that as well, Python code. So this was about it in the math plus computer science combo #1. So this would be a series of videos involving problems with workout in maths, improving algorithmic efficiency using mathematics, and implementing it in computer science, both. That's why I've called it as a combo. And thus it's a really nice way to see how both of them work together. And that's the joy doing math and computer science together. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this video. Thank you for your patient hearing. And I'll be back with more such videos.